What's up, everybody? You're listening to Lo-Fi Faith with Mike and James.
We're two guys who also happen to be pastors, doing our best to have open conversations about what it means to follow Jesus in today's world.
And we're back in the studio. Michael.
Yep. James.
Michael, what's your middle name?
Jeffrey.
Michael Jeffrey.
William Dawson. It's my full name, and I consider it quite a regal name.
I would
if I would say
consider
so
it
myself.
I would consider it a name.
Thank you.
So, Michael, or can I call you Jeff?
No.
So, Jeffrey, we're recording again, and I have actually just recently got back from some time back home.
You are joking.
In America.
I didn't even notice your absence.
I was gone for several weeks.
That's why life felt so peaceful.
And you had no idea. But that's not the point. My question is, I love to do this with you. Can you tell me... Okay, I spent a lot of my time in a city called Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Know it well.
Yeah, I know you do. So since you know it so well, can you tell the listeners, describe the area for us? What is it like? What is it known for? Just give me a breakdown of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yeah, so big skiing area. That's the first thing, right? So yeah, surrounded by mountains. It's only about a 35-minute drive from the outskirts of Chattanooga to the local ski field. And people come from all over the world. It's a really well-known ski field. It's on my bucket list to go there.
Is it?
Yeah. Can't wait. So that's one thing. They are also known for their local fare, their local cuisine, which centers around fried green tomatoes. Now, man, if you've ever had a Chattanoogan fried green tomato, boy, if you haven't lived.
You have not existed.
Telling you, boy, you got to get over there. Come on, James, man, get there, bro.
Okay, I'll go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna head back now. Can you tell me just one more thing about Chattanooga?
Yeah, so most people wear blue denim overalls.
Okay.
Yeah, the black denim's coming in, but historically, traditionally, and this goes back to like
pre-Civil War,
like pilgrims, pilgrim days. Yeah.
Because there were a lot of pilgrims in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yeah. It was, I believe, one of the first places.
It's a hot spot.
Yeah,
I think the Mayflower landed in Chattanooga, didn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I could be wrong.
Do you know what theMayflower is?
I do know what the Mayflower is.
Okay, I don't know what they teach you around here.
Yeah, it was a famous Russian submarine. So yeah, that's a little bit about Chattanooga. To all of our American listeners, I hope it did you proud.
You did amazing.
Thank you.
I'm going to tell you that one sentence in that entire thing was true. I'm not going to tell you which one. I'll also tell you that because the U.S. is so big, most Americans wouldn't even know if you were telling the truth or not. So... Hey, well done.
To be honest, I was hoping you wouldn't know, but...
Yeah. Having spent 5 weeks there, I know nothing about that place.
Yeah.
I did try the ski field. It was a bit underwhelming, considering it doesn't exist.
Just quickly, speaking of, United States of America, in one of our earlier episodes, I did try out a Southern accent. Now, I'm not going to do it now, but what I would like to put out to our listeners is just the question, do you want... a repeat of the Southern accent, because I don't think I really pulled it off the first time. I was feeling a little bit nervous because it felt like this could be a big break for me. This could really lead to something, and I think nerves got the best of me.
I just want to hold on. Let me pause you there.
Okay.
You saying this like you only tried out the Southern accent one time. For those who do listen to us, Mike never stops with his horrifyingly bad Southern accent. At all times.
Well, before you label it horrifyingly bad, I think we want to let the people decide. So I'm going to put it out there. Hey, look, if you want another round of the Southern accent from Mike here on Lo-Fi Faith, let us know. Flick us a message, a DM, a
telegram,
whatever
Morse code,
whatever instrument you communicate with. Let us know. And look, if the people want it, I'm going to give it to them.
How many people need to want it?
3. I'm going to set a very low bar here.
I mean, that's like 30% of our listeners.
Yeah, so actually, it's
a high bar.
It's a high bar.
Follow Lo-Fi Faith with Mike and James on Instagram to keep up with new episodes, behind-the-scenes content, and to join in on the conversation.
All right, Jimmy. Look, in our last episode, we got into the subject of, arguments and disagreements, particularly within the church, and how it's easy for us to kind of, dehumanize the other side, and how we want to try to avoid that. Now, this does raise the question of like, what are the limits, I guess, when it comes to, when you're on opposing sides from somebody else, because we did talk about the need for boundaries, right? And this reminds me of a conversation that we had a good while ago. We were, I guess, envisioning a church, and really we were trying to think about how could we create a church that is really a safe space for people to just be people, to be truly vulnerable, and also to be able to share in such a way that allowed them to actually disagree with each other. And yet there was this common agreement, there was this common understanding that this is actually a healthy thing. This is a safe place for us to put our ideas out there, to be vulnerable with one another. And instead of receiving judgment, we're going to receive love, grace, and support. And as part of those discussions, we kind of came to the conclusion that it's pretty hard to actually create a church, for example, that is a safe space for absolutely everybody, as in 100% of the people. Do you remember that chat that we had?
Yeah, I remember that conversation vividly. It was, we've been dreaming about some sort of church plant at different times. I think most pastors like to talk about church plants, and so we were discussing what it would look like. And I remember you said, "Yeah, we really want this to be a safe place for everyone, literally everyone." And I'm like, man, I love that. That's a great idea. The challenge is, what do you do when an unsafe person comes there? Because and when I say unsafe, I mean somebody who, because of their unhealed trauma or because of their history and preconceptions, they are not a person that can accept other people as they are.
Yeah.
They feel like they have to be different in order to be accepted. In order to experience love, they have to act a certain way, whatever it is.
Or maybe just their default is to make assumptions and to make judgments and
Right.
to act in such a way that makes others feel unsafe.
So in summary, what do you do when a judgmental person comes into that? If you're saying like, man, we want to be safe for everybody, well, are you making it safe for judgmental people? Because here's the trouble.
Yeah.
As soon as you make it safe for a judgmental group of people, or even one judgmental person, you actually make it unsafe for all of the other people who are vulnerable and being vulnerable. I don't think at this point that you can make a community, well, we can say church, we can say group, whatever we want to say. I don't think you can make a community safe for every single person if they are not dedicated to that same level of allowing people to be who they are.
In which case, there has to be some boundaries. There has to be some, I guess, some just baseline requirements in terms of, hey, if you want to be part of this community, here is our, whatever it might be, code of conduct. Here are the principles that we operate by. If you don't want to operate by those principles, that's fine, but this is what we are doing. And inevitably, there's going to be some exclusion that goes on there because not everyone's going to want to sign up for that.
So the reality is what we're saying, it is impossible to be totally inclusive. You're always going to have some inclusion, but of necessity that's going to exclude others. Is that what you're saying?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So then really the question is, who do we choose to include, and who do we, for one reason or another, say you cannot be a part of this group?
Yeah. I mean, I'd definitely exclude you from my church plant, but I think we know...
I would exclude myself from your church
Okay,
plant.
that's good. We're on the same page.
Yeah, we're good. I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
This is a joke. We're kidding.
Yeah, we're being sarcastic. Just for those of you who don't do well, sarcasm. All right. Yeah, who do we choose, right? Well, I mean, I guess, like, to be honest, it comes down to, those who are involved in leading out in the group. They'll have a certain vision. They'll have a certain, hey, we want to create this environment. We want to create this kind of space. And, that whether they do that as part of a team or whatever, it's going to come down to who the founders of that group or what the founders of that group want the group to look like and the kind of atmosphere they want to create. And that's going to then lead to some of those guidelines and those principles.
Yeah, I don't think it's always just the founders,
Mm-hmm.
because you can have the most ideal ideas when you're founding something, but it's about how you connect, how you create the DNA of the organization. In other words, you could be the most loving, kindest person in the world, but that doesn't mean that your group is going to stay loving and kind, especially, and it's not necessarily going to outlast you. So it's about how you create a culture within that community.
That is kind of self-perpetuating, is what you're saying. That just,
Yeah, and intentional. I don't think you can do it without a measure of intentionality.
Yeah.
But all of this to be said, like, the issue is not whether or not a church is exclusive, because anytime you have a group of people, inherently there is some exclusivity, whether or not that's the intention, right? You join a team, you're either on the team or you're not on the team. So when we create a community, that's not the issue. It's okay, what type of space do we create, and who feels comfortable in that space? And I think maybe one of the challenges we have in a lot of our churches is we're making the wrong people comfortable and the wrong people uncomfortable.
All right. Is this James's spicy take of the day?
This is James's spicy take of the day.
Yeah, this is as we introduced it in one of our recent episodes.
That's right.
A new segment that we occasionally introduce.
I'm going to have
every
one
now and then when we remember it.
Every once in a while.
Just when we remember it. And if you actually have a spicy take as part of the conversations we have.
Mostly I have like medium, no spice.
Medium to mild takes.
Mild takes. Yeah. Like mayo.
Yeah.
But this one.
Well, if it's like peri peri mayo or sriracha mayo, there's a little bit of spice there. So, don't sell yourself short, James.
Yeah, there's a slight spice, just a little kick. But this one might be a little spicier.
All right. Say that again for our listeners before I rudely interrupted.
All right. So the point is, I think in many of our churches, we can make the wrong people comfortable and the wrong people uncomfortable. So let's look at Scripture. When we go to Jesus' example on earth, right? That's where I keep coming back to. If I'm going to really build out my theology, I'm going to start with Jesus as the truest picture of who God is, of the heart of God, and also the best example of how to navigate life. Who did Jesus make comfortable, and who did Jesus make uncomfortable? What's your take on that?
Okay, so here's my take, which is,
it's wrong, but you can share it.
Yeah, I've already decided that it's wrong. But I would say Jesus made comfortable those that were typically kind of on the outside. They had things about them that caused others to look down on them, whether it was people who had physical disabilities, whether it was people who were involved in vocations that were frowned upon, people who for various cultural reasons were kind of had been almost shunned from their communities. Typically, it was those people who most others looked at with a bit of disdain and contempt and disregard that Jesus came close to and really humanized and made them to feel valuable. Whereas on the other side, often the ones who did have a lot of prestige, it was scribes or teachers of the law. It was Pharisees. Religious leaders, and also some political leaders that Jesus tended to be a little bit more harsh towards, a little bit more confrontational towards. So that would be Mike's medium take of the day.
Yeah, Mike's take.
Mike's just plain wrong take.
I'm not even going to give that a title.
Man,
it's just a take.
How come you get your own feature, and I still haven't got mine?
You'll get there someday, bud.
All right.
Well, okay. This is a good take. I like your take because it's literally just you describing pretty accurately what happened in Scripture.
Okay.
So,
phew.
You got this one right.
Man, I was sweating on that one.
No, but like, I think this is really important because this has not been my experience in most of the churches I've been in contact with. If I'm honest, it's really not been. Jesus, the people he made uncomfortable. You said scribes, Pharisees, teachers of the law. These are all churchy words, right? But at the end of the day, if we were to summarize them, would it be fair to say these are church people? He made church people highly religious.
Not just church people, the
leaders.
churchiest of the church people.
Yes, the full-on suit and tie people who are there every single week, every time the doors are open. That's who he's making very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And in place of that, he's not just doing that just to do it.
Mm.
I think some people like to just stir the pot. Jesus is not stirring the pot when he does this. Everything he did, I think, was very intentional.
Yep.
So he sought out everybody on the margins. And not only that, I mean, he did that with like people with leprosy. He touched them when they were considered untouchable. The people who were considered the worst of the worst sinners, public sinners, he hung out with them, right? All of these people who were considered gross or unhuman or whatever. And he makes them feel very comfortable in his presence.
Yeah, and to really rub it in, I believe this is true. The only 2 times in the Gospels where Jesus says, "I have not found such great faith in Israel," were directed towards a Roman centurion and a Canaanite woman.
Yeah,
right. Both of whom, from the perspective of the Jewish people, were very much on the margins, to say the least.
They were the people oppressing us.
Yeah.
And the people we oppress.
Yeah, and who should be oppressed.
Who should be oppressed. They deserve that. Yeah, and so how do we put this in modern terms? I would say, are we really actually making the right people comfortable and the right people uncomfortable? That might be a good way to measure our progress as a church or as a community. And I would say that in most places, what we're doing is we're spending a lot of our energy trying to make sure really churchy people are comfortable. And then what ends up happening, because we're making it so safe for these people who may be very honest-hearted, may even be very good people, but because we're spending so much energy making them comfortable, what happens is there's a whole other group of marginalized people who feel like outsiders already, who are very uncomfortable and darkening the doors of a church.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't for me.
Yeah.
Even, even the way we talk about people, we talk about them as if they don't sit in our pews, and then we wonder why they don't sit in our pews.
You're listening to Lo-Fi Faith with Mike and James. Yeah, I mean, this has been a pretty major frustration for me as a pastor, where I put myself in the shoes of a new person, which isn't that hard to do. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that I was a new person, but also I wasn't raised in the church, and so it's not hard for me to connect to a more secular mindset, and put myself in that position and imagine what it would be like to come into some of the churches that I've been at, and I really struggle to see how we are being relevant to any kind of significant part of the population. It really seems like in so many places, I'll be honest, we are turning church, and by church, by the way, I just mean the 2 hours or so that we do on our weekend services.
One planned service.
Yeah, because it's not the be-all and end-all of what church is biblically, but we often use that language to describe that part of our worship. We are making church, quote unquote, really about what we want and what makes us feel comfortable. And if you want to be part of it, well, you better learn to be comfortable in the same way and for the same reasons that we are comfortable.
Yeah, you have to learn the language and the expectations, the way to approach this service. If you want to be part of us.
Yeah. And if you don't like that, well, you just can't handle the truth, man.
That's it.
We're not the problem.
That's it.
You must be the problem.
That's it. That's actually one of the things that I really struggle with when we talk about, well, why are people leaving the church?
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard a lot of people say, well, it's really their fault. They lacked faith. They got church hurt, so they didn't really have a good enough connection with Jesus. They got hurt. Their feelings hurt. They left.
They got drawn away by the world.
And yet, what does Jesus say? He says, if there are 100 sheep, and 99 of them are hanging out, fully happy in the pen, and one of them takes off, well, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
We are going to make ourselves uncomfortable to go find that one sheep and actually do whatever we need to do to help them.
Yeah, we like to play the victim and say, well, it can't have been us. It's just the big bad world that is beating up on us, or some other reason, right? Man, I think it would be better for us if someone leaves, right, and we're trying to figure out why. I think the last resort should be, it must be because of external circumstances. We should first of all go, how could we have supported that person better? Was there anything? Ask the question, and you may go through a thorough, analysis and go, maybe it wasn't actually us, maybe that's the case. But at least ask the questions.
Yeah.
Go through the questions and say, what could we have done better? How could we have supported that person better? Was there anything that we did that caused them to get the wrong impression or to be hurt or whatever? And once you've gone through all of those questions, then maybe ask the other questions about what were the external forces or the external circumstances that may have contributed to this person leaving. If we flip it the other way around, it's a great way of avoiding responsibility.
I think it's scary because it requires self-reflection, and self-reflection means that we have to acknowledge that we don't have it all together.
Maybe we're not the most loving church out there.
Maybe not.
What?
I know, that's astonishing. I read somewhere where it said if you really want to know if a church is friendly, you can't ask the core membership. They always think they're friendly. You have to ask the people on the outer margins.
Absolutely.
They'll tell you whether or not the church is truly friendly. But I think that it's a scary thing, because if we ask these types of questions, we're going to get answers that we don't want to hear, that will require reflection and change in the way that we do things. And the only other option is to say, no, I don't believe them. They're wrong. They actually don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and that gets us off the hook.
It makes us comfortable.
Yeah. So it feels satisfying, and I've been in many, and I'm not exempt from this, by the way, right? I've given those same answers before, but I've been on many boards, committees, etc., where those are the conclusions we come to. It feels really good. Because you're just saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, no, we're not the problem. Yeah, I didn't think we were, but it's really nice. For sure. Really nice to know for sure now. It feels good. That doesn't mean we've come to the right conclusion.
Yeah. And so maybe a better question that we need to keep asking to tie all of this together, right, is, in my community, who feels the most comfortable? And is that who we are called to be ministering to? And that is a very reflective question.
Love that question, yeah.
And it might be something that we can't even just answer by ourselves. We have to ask other people. We have to ask the people who have left and find out, why aren't you there? But they're not always going to tell you unless you're a safe person yourself.
And make sure that we ask in a way that allows them to actually answer. Why did you leave, given that we were so incredibly loving to you and gave you everything you possibly could have wanted?
Why would you ever do that to us?
Don't ask the question that way.
Well, and also there's a lot of people who know, like, a church person is going to reach out to them and try to guilt trip them to come back to church. So, like, if you really are going to reach out to people to try to understand, you got to clarify that. Look, I'm not here to try to get you back. I'm genuinely just here to listen. Because I want to learn, and I want us as a church to learn. And is there anything that you think we could learn from your experience with us, good or bad? We'd like to hear it.
And I think it's so important to frame it that way, because often we do come with the agenda of getting them back to church, right? And it's like, what if church was the place that they were hurt? They're not going to interpret that in a positive way. It's almost like from the get-go, you are invalidating their experience and not trying to understand them.
There's a lot of trauma attached to the way that we have done church, and because of that, I think there's a lot of people who are actually very open to a deeply loving committee. Well, no.
That was an interesting slip of the tongue there.
A deeply loving community who is dedicated to seeking out God and learning how to receive love from God, return that love back to God, and to love the people around us unconditionally. I think a lot of people are drawn to that. But that's not what they see as the church experience they've had. So I would love for us to dream a little bit about what that community would look like. But I think it's going to require more exclusivity than we want to admit. It's not about we can't exclude anyone. It's that the people who are going to get excluded are the people who are going to tear this thing apart if they're not willing to truly lay themselves down, humble themselves, and be at the foot of the cross with everybody else.
Boom. Spicy takes from James.
That's it. Love a little spice. You got to get some spice in your life sometimes. Big fan of the Spice Girls.
All right. Okay.
That's not really true.
This is going on a detour that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
But we're going to wrap up there. Appreciate the conversation, Jimmy boy. And we will see all of you next time.
We're not going to see any of you unless you show up to the studio, but you will hear all of us next time. Thanks for hanging out with us on Lo-Fi Faith. If something resonated with you today, we'd love it if you shared the show with a friend.
You can catch up on past episodes at plains.org.nz and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll be back with a fresh episode in 2 weeks.
See you then.